Welcome back to Books with AR, Chapter 78, Teng Family City. Wang Lin was checking out the treasures when he suddenly heard a whisper from behind. He shot a golden light into the flying sword and turned around. Zhang Hu opened his eyes. After he saw Wang Lin, he was startled. He looked around and saw the flying sword and sword scabbard in Wang Lin's hands. Zhang Hu revealed a joyous look and asked, "He died?" Wang Lin chuckled and nodded. "Yes. Zhang Hu, did you say you didn't know me before because of him?" Zhang Hu quickly touched his chest. After pondering for a while, he said, "He really is dead. Wang Lin, this is not a good place to talk. Once I finish all these people, we can catch up." With that, he raised his right hand and 3 fireballs appeared. All of the people in the surroundings were completely stunned. What they just saw was something they had never thought they would see in their lives. When they saw the fireballs in Zhang Hu's hand, their faces revealed looks of fear. As for the people dressed in black, they also carefully looked at Zhang Hu with fear in their eyes. Wang Lin frowned. Just as he was about to speak, Zhang Hu took a step and threw the fireballs, but the target was not Liu San's group, but the group of men dressed in black. In terms of their worth, the lives of these mortals were like ants. Without any ability to fight back, the men in black, including Song Hong, were caught by the fireballs. The strange thing was that their whole bodies weren't burned to ashes. Several strange golden drops of blood formed and were swallowed by Zhang Hu. Liu San's group were roasted by the heat of the fire until their hair curled and skin cracked, but none of them dared to move one bit. Seeing that Zhang Hu formed 3 more fireballs, Wang Lin said in a heavy tone, "Zhang Hu, don't kill anymore." Zhang Hu turned his head and looked at Wang Lin, and then said, "If we don't kill these people, then they will go back and report everything. The person you killed is my teacher and also Old Man Jimo's 6th disciple. If he finds out about this, it will be hard for us to escape death." The middle-aged scholar was one of the few who was still calm. He quickly said, "Two in Myrtles, we promise that we won't talk. Before he finished speaking, Zhang Hu frowned and sneered, "Promise not to talk? That's not up to you. When they take out your soul and refine it, you will tell them everything." He was talking to the middle-aged scholar, but his eyes were on Wang Lin. Wang Lin pondered for a while. He waved his hand, and the remaining 6 or 7 people forcibly moved until they landed in front of Wang Lin. Zhang Hu withdrew the fireballs and stood at the side silent. Wang Lin took out a piece of jade from his bag of holding. This was the jade he got from Zhang Kuang when he went to the exchange with Wang Ha. He vaguely remembered that there was a technique inside that would wipe people's memories. After carefully searching the jade, he found the technique. Wang Lin checked it once and put the jade away. Wang Lin's eyes looked at the group and glowed blue. The blue light entered their eyes, and their eyes also glowed blue before they fainted and fell onto the ground. Zhang Hu secretly sighed. He opened his mouth to say something, but didn't speak in the end. After Wang Lin finished the technique, he looked at Zhang Hu and flew off into the distance. Zhang Hu sighed, he spit out a golden ball, got on it, and flew after Wang Lin. The two flew in the air for a long time. Zhang Hu started to run out of breath and landed on a mountaintop, while Wang Lin slowly floated down. Zhang Hu calmed his breathing, then found a place to sit down. He took out 2 pieces of sweet potato and passed one to Wang Lin. He said, "I baked this. Check how it tastes." Wang Lin took the sweet potato. He felt like he had returned to 10 years ago when the two had just met. "When I left the Hengwei sect back then, I didn't go home, but wandered around looking to join another cultivation sect. I got lucky and consumed some herbs and somehow managed to reach the first layer of key condensation. I have to thank the Weasel's booklet for that. After meeting Bai Zhan, he decided not to kill me after he saw that I was at the first layer. Instead, he made me his disciple to help him gather the blood of mortals. He left a poison in me so he could control my life and death. Before, I didn't want to say I knew you because he was nearby, but thankfully you killed him. That destroyed the poison in my body, and I'm finally free." Zhang Hu took a bite of sweet potato as he quickly explained what had happened in the past 10 years. Wang Lin felt very regrettable. Although Zhang Hu's story was very simple and short, he could see from his expression that these 10 years had been very difficult for him. Zhang Hu revealed a look of envy and said, "Wang Lin, we haven't seen each other in 10 years. Seeing that you could kill my teacher, you must have reached Foundation establishment. My teacher's flying sword is very powerful. He said he could only use 2/5 of its power, but even then, no one below Foundation establishment could compete with him." Wang Lin shook his head and said, "I haven't reached Foundation establishment yet. Do you know where this flying sword came from?" Zhang Hu looked at Wang Lin with a surprised look, but didn't ask further. He carefully thought about it and said, "I think he talked about it once. I think he said he found it in a cave and only got it because of the great opportunities at that moment. He always viewed it as a great treasure. Also, that scabbard is also a treasure. Teacher treasured that scabbard several times more than the flying sword. I once heard from my teacher that besides him, unless someone is at the core formation stage, they can't refine it for themselves." Wang Lin found a rock to sit on. He pondered for a while, then asked, "Tell me about Old Man Jimo so that we can at least be on guard against a few things." Zhang Hu swallowed the sweet potato in his mouth and said, "Old Man Jimo is an independent cultivator. It's said that he has already reached core formation. He cares about his reputation a lot, so he will definitely be out searching for us when he finds out about Bai Zhan's death. You better return to the Hangwei sect. As for me, I can go hide in the Teng Family City. Even Old Man Jimo won't dare to be argument there. As long as I stay in the city, I should be safe." Wang Lin wryly smiled and said, "The Hangwei sect only exists in name." Zhang He was startled and said, "I heard about this before. 4 years ago, the Zhao Dao sect stole the Hangwei mountain, but I heard that Hangwei sect disciples migrated. Did you not migrate with them?" Wang Lin did not want to discuss this matter and asked, "What kind of place is the Teng Family City?" Welcome back to Books with AR, Chapter 79, Refining the Flying Sword. Zhang Hu stuffed the remaining sweet potato in his mouth. After he finished eating, he said, "The Teng Family City belongs to a large cultivation family in the northern part of Zhao. It is said that they have nascent soul experts in the family. If a cultivator wants to enter the city, they have to pay 1 low-quality spirit stone. If they wish to live there, they must pay 1 mid-quality spirit stone per month. With all of the spirit stones I have gathered, I can live there for 6 months." Wang Lin rubbed his chin and asked, "Zhang Hu, does this Tang Family City have an exchange fair?" Zhang Hu nodded and said, "There do. Every month there is a large exchange fair where all of the surrounding cultivators come. Are you going to go exchange some things?" Wang Lin nodded and smiled. "What? Do you not welcome me following you? I don't have many spirit stones, so I'm relying on you." The Tang family was a very famous cultivation family in the northern part of the country of Zhao. The family head, Tang Xingxin, reached the nascent soul stage in the last 500 years, so he didn't go to the wars in rank 4 countries. He was also Wufang Valley's minister, so his position was very high. Because the Tang family had an ancestor like him, no one dared to mess with them, even though they weren't a big sect. The Tang family's exchange fair provided a platform for the cultivators to trade in. At the beginning of each month, Teng Family City was very busy. Where there are a lot of people, there will naturally be a lot of conflicts. Sometimes people would fight the moment they met. Because of that, the Tang family ancestor, Tang Xingxin, set a no-fighting rule in the city. Everyone in the city was prohibited from fighting. The moment the order came out, everyone in the city obeyed. especially after Tang Xingxin personally came out and killed a few core formation cultivators. On this day, two rainbows flew across the sky toward the Teng Family City. One of them said, "Wang Lin, flying is prohibited in the city, so we need to walk from here." These two were Wang Lin and Zhang Hu. Wang Lin's gaze swept the Teng Family City before him. This city wasn't big. To be honest, it was more like a large town than a city. Outside the city stood two Teng family disciples greeting travelers with smiles and handing out tokens. Wang Lin expanded his divine sense and immediately found out that both of them were at the third layer, like Zhang Hu. Looking at the long line going into the city, Wang Lin wasn't in any rush. He checked everyone in the line and found that everyone was a cultivator, but the strongest was only at the 13th layer. After a long time, just as Wang Lin and Zhang Hu were about to arrive at the gate, a figure suddenly appeared in the distance. The figure released a very strong aura. Wang Lin sent out his divine sense and was stunned. This person wasn't old at all, only about 30 years old, but had already reached foundation establishment. This person quickly arrived at the front of the gate. He waved his hand and created a wind that blew everyone away. The people with lower cultivation were sent rolling on the ground. Zhang Hu would have been sent rolling too if Wang Lin hadn't caught him right away. Wang Lin was also sent back a few steps. His expression was normal as he coldly looked at that person. The person let out a cold snort and walked to the gate. He threw out a token and the two guards became very respectful. One of them even followed the person into the city. Zhang Hu had been here many times before. He led Wang Lin through the city before paying 2 mid-quality spirit stones to get rooms for themselves. Zhang Hu smiled at Wang Lin. "We have not much money left. I hope this 500-year-old ginseng sells well. We will split the profit evenly between us." The two talked for a bit before returning to their own rooms. Wang Lin returned to his room and sat down cross-legged and took out Zhang Hu's master's flying sword and sword scabbard. After watching them for a long time, his eyes lit up and he threw the flying sword into the air. His hand formed a seal and pointed at the flying sword. A golden light flew out from the flying sword. Then the flying sword suddenly moved, like it returned to life and tried to fly away. Just as it charged halfway across the room, it seemed to have hit an invisible wall. It changed directions and charged again, but was stopped again. After charging in a few directions, the flying sword stopped, released a humming sound, and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was normal as he took out the life-saving treasure and sent out the golden symbol. The flying sword seemed to be afraid of the symbol, so it backed away. Then the flying sword suddenly disappeared again and reappeared near the window. The color of the sword suddenly changed from blue to green, and now the sword looked exactly like it did before it entered the sword scabbard. Wang Lin's eyes darted across the room. He noticed that the sword's teleportation ability had something to do with its color. Without a master, it seemed its teleportation cost a lot of spiritual power. Situnan slowly said, "The more consciousness a treasure has, the harder it is to refine. Even after killing its master, it will still take a lot of effort to make it your own treasure." Wang Lin narrowed his eyes. He knew that this flying sword had consciousness and even had a teleportation skill. The more difficult it was to refine, the more he wanted to make it his own treasure. Seeing that the flying sword was about to escape, Wang Lin waved his hand, and 2 golden symbols flew out. The golden symbols blocked the flying sword's path and were positioned so that even if the sword teleported again, it wouldn't be able to get away. Welcome back to Books with AR, Chapter 80, Blood Refining Technique. After teleporting 3 times, the flying sword's color changed to light green. Both the light and sound that were emitting from the sword clearly showed that it was much weaker. Shortly after, the flying sword that hadn't teleported in a while was pushed into a corner by the 2 golden symbols. Wang Lin spat out another mouthful of spiritual energy. The flying sword was too slow and was surrounded by the spiritual energy. The 2 golden symbols circled the flying sword like 2 golden dragons. Every time the flying sword tried to escape, they'd force it back, so the flying sword couldn't get out. As time passed, the flying sword's struggle didn't decrease, but it got more violent. When the spiritual energy surrounding the flying sword was fading, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and spat out another mouthful of spiritual energy to keep refining it. The night slipped by, and the sword struggle finally seemed to have decreased a bit. Wang Lin's face was pale. He had already spat out dozens of mouthfuls of spiritual energy. Even with his 15th layer cultivation level, and with the help of the spirit liquid, he could barely hang in there. The morning light shone into the room as Wang Lin continued his refining of the sword. The flying sword was no longer struggling. It floated in the air as slivers of Wang Lin's spiritual energy entered it. When Wang Lin's expression changed, he heard a knock, followed by Zhang Hu's voice. "Wang Lin, do you want to go with me to the weapons store?" Wang Lin took a deep breath and said, "Zhang Hu, I'm at the critical point of my refining, so I can't go." Zhang Hu was stunned. He pondered for a while, then, without a word, sat down cross-legged in front of Wang Lin's door. Wang Lin no longer bothered with Zhang Hu and continued to refine. Time slowly passed until it was night. Wang Lin had already drank 3 gourds of spirit water, but the refining was still not over. In desperation, Wang Lin had to ask Si Nan for advice. Si Nan slowly said, "Kid, finally figured out that you should come to me? I've been waiting. If you go into closed-door training for 10 years and use up a lot of spiritual power, you might have a chance to successfully refine it. I'm talking about the real world, not the space in the heaven-defying bead." Wang Lin frowned and asked, "That long?" Si Nan slowly said, "Of course, this is a core formation treasure, and a super high-grade core formation treasure at that. A crazy core formation cultivator must have made it while they were tackling not soul cultivators, and by risking their chance to successfully reach not soul, they used the moment of breakthrough to refine this treasure. This person was really a madman. I have also wanted to do this, but after considering it for a long time, I gave up. Although failing to reach not soul isn't too bad, breaking through to not soul is the most dangerous moment. One misstep and your soul will completely disappear. That Bai Zhan also must have received help from the Creator to make it his personal weapon. If I still had my body, it would be easy to refine, but now even I can't do much. Unless..." Wang Lin already knew about this old guy's temper, and that he liked to tempt people, so Wang Lin wasn't worried, and waited. After a while, Si Nan sighed and muttered, "Forget it. I'll tell you this. If you use the normal method of refining, it will take too much time. I'll teach you a method called the blood refining technique. The advantage is that you can instantly make this flying sword your own, but the disadvantage is that if the flying sword takes damage, you will also take damage. But with the time required to refine it, the damage you'd take would be several times worse than other methods." Wang Lin pondered a bit and said, "Tell me how to use this blood refining technique." Si Nan just wanted to leave Wang Lin in suspense, but realized that this kid would probably just ignore him, so he decided to speak, but he raised one condition. "I haven't touched a woman in so many years. No matter what, you must let me be satisfied, even if I'm just watching." Wang Lin vaguely answered Si Nan. Then his hand formed strange seals according to Si Nan's directions. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood filled with spiritual power. Then he moved his hands, and a strange symbol appeared in the air. The moment the symbol appeared, the blood started to enter the symbol. Soon, all of the blood was absorbed, and all that remained was a blood-colored symbol. Wang Lin waved his hand, and the symbol landed on the sword. The flying sword trembled, and immediately started to release strands of white gas. Wang Lin immediately spat out another mouthful of blood. He looked weaker, but his eyes looked more determined. He formed another strange symbol that absorbed the blood and was shot toward the flying sword. This process lasted for several hours. It wasn't until the morning that a sharp sword hum came out of Wang Lin's room. Zhang Hu, who had been sitting outside Wang Lin's room the whole time, immediately stood up. The door silently opened. Wang Lin's face was carrying a bright smile. His mood was very good right now. He said, "Thank you, Zhang Hu." Zhang Hu looked at Wang Lin with a strange expression and asked, "What were you doing? Why did I just hear that sword hum just now?" Wang Lin opened his mouth, and a small green flying sword immediately flew out. The moment the sword appeared, a smell of blood surrounded the area. Zhang Hu was stunned and asked, "This is my teacher's flying sword? You managed to refine it? Uh, why is there such a strong scent of blood?" Wang Lin nodded. He waved his right hand, and the flying sword returned to his side and entered his mouth again. Wang Lin was also very irritated over the strong scent of blood. Si Tunan only told him near the end that all treasures refined using the blood refining technique would have a bloody scent and that it kills people in the future. The scent will only get stronger. Zhang Hu gawked at the flying sword. After a long time, he took a deep breath and said, "Wang Lin, I'm impressed. With this flying sword, people of the same level will no longer be a threat to you. This sword's special ability is teleportation. The distance varies depending on the spiritual power of the user, but when used unexpectedly, it is a very good ace." The two exchanged a few words. When Zhang Hu was about to leave, he reminded Wang Lin that the monthly exchange fair was in 3 days and that Wang Lin should prepare for it. After Zhang Hu left, Wang Lin took out the sword scabbard. Even Si Tunan kept praising the sword scabbard and didn't know what rank of treasure this was. Wang Lin originally thought that this flying sword and sword scabbard were part of a set, but after refining the flying sword, he noticed the difference between the two. Upon closer inspection, the sword scabbard released a very strong killing intent. The closer Wang Lin looked, the stronger the killing intent became, until his mind would go blank and he could only see the faint illusion of a sword.